It is now time for one of the most anticipated segments of today's conference, the industry panel discussion, centered around the conference theme, Indian Economy, Gig Model Powered by AI, Way Ahead. Joining us, first of all, live from Kolkata, we have the privilege of our distinguished panelist, Chief Operating Officer, 2Comms Group, Mr. Pramod Pachisia. Our next panelist, it is my absolute privilege to welcome our distinguished panelist, CEO and Managing Director, AALGORIX, Mr. Rohit Verma. Moving on to our next panelist, co-founder and Chief Revenue Officer of V360.ai, Mr. Swapnil Tripathi sir is here with us. And it is my privilege to welcome our final panelist, Senior Director, Human Resources from ZEPTO, Mr. Jahangir Shaikh. A meaningful panel discussion is shaped not only by the distinguished panelist, but by a moderator also who can bring together diverse perspectives into a thoughtful and engaging dialogue. It is my privilege to introduce the moderator for this session, our Group Director, IPER Group of Institutions, Dr. Amarjeet Singh Khalsa.
Since morning, we all are deliberating on this, and till now, we all are little clear about what's happening in the global economy as well as Indian economy. In the morning, I was telling you that if in next 10 years, if we see the world GDP to be around $1,000 trillion, that can only happen with the advent of and acceptability of AI and gig workforce. We all are aware that now the nature of employment is changing. The nature of employment is not the full-time employment, rather it's the gig work. We all are aware that gig word is derived from, it comes from music actually. Gig is something when you go for a one-time concert somewhere, so musicians say that I have a gig performance today. So that's how gig was originated, and we call it as gig workforce. Fortunately, Indian government has also identified this, and in 2020, we have, as Government of India, has accepted gig workforce, and they are coming out with different labor codes also for the gig work. There is a misconception that gig is something related to delivery boys. No, it's not gig. It is one of the gig. Gig is something where you are not in full-time employment, but you are doing something for someone. There is no employer-employee relationship, but there is a contract and agent relationship. So when we were deliberating on this, that this is going to happen in coming times in the world, particularly in India. So we thought that why not to discuss this with academicians. So we called certain keynote speakers from academia in the morning, and then they set the tone about this. But we knew that until and unless we don't hear it from the horse's mouth, that is the industry, we'll not be able to take out the right observation what is going to happen in this. So then the challenge was to create such a panel. So what we did, there is a company who is giving gig workers. There is a company who is preparing gig workers. There is a company who is using gig workers. And there is a company who is telling the whole fraternity how this academic structure has to be aligned. This is our panel today. And Mr. Pramod, your promise is that next time you will be here personally, but somehow you have taken time. That's the great thing, because you are the leader of providing gig workforce company in India. And we are fortunate to have you. So before I move further to all my friends, let me first ask you, you are representing a company which is supplying the gig workers, okay? You are a kind of aggregator where people who wish to work as gig worker, you give a platform to them. And the people who wish to hire the gig workers, you give a platform to them, and you do a lot of other staffing activities also. So you are deep penetrated into the hiring processes going on in India. So sir, your thoughts first to enlighten us what we are thinking about gig workforce. Is it's a dream, it's a truth, or it's a hype?
Thank you, sir. And thank you for having me here and being kind enough to accept that I could be joining virtually. I was crisscrossing multiple cities yesterday, otherwise I would have surely landed up there. And I think reality for sure, it is not a myth today. The gig industry is, just to give you a background, there are about 154 million workforce across the globe, which are called platform workers. And I think, and you rightly said, gig is a very confused term when it comes to, because delivery boys, mobility drivers sort of take large portion, and that's a very large pool, and that makes India move or the global move today. Not taking anything away, but the gig industry is much beyond one skill or two skills. Today, in my view, the gig industry has historically originated and remained in India. How different is an independent contributor who was earlier selling an insurance agent, who is not working who's not an employee of LIC Corporation, but working as a freelance workforce, and his or her revenue income comes from sales that they make and an outcome-oriented activity, which was typically to sell insurance agents, and all of us bought insurance agents all our life from agents there. That's also an independent contributor. So while gig is confused with just last mile riders, low hanging fruit activities, or let's say only blue collar, but the connotation of gig is very, very large in areas. And if you look at this perspective, the insurance agent industry is one of the largest gig work model. Of course, they're associated with the platform. And in this case, the platform is maybe not digital in nature, but a physical platform, which is an LIC or insurance agency. And of course, now IRDA governs that as well. So the industry has various ways of looking at it, right? But of course, the platform environment, digitalization sort of opens the door in many areas at this point of time. Things that will surprise some of us is that, and I'm sure this, the panelists here can also add, and the audience is today's world understands digital very well. On the platforms today, the platforms like Upworks, and of course our platform also in India, there are platforms like Fiverr, where you'll find skills of all varieties today, and you will be surprised on the kind of skills that will require. Gig and AI is a beautiful combination further. Of course, when you look at AI, the first thing which comes to our mind is that AI is going to eat away jobs. And that's a big question mark. People don't know what the future jobs are for sure. And as I always feel that when there is technology innovation, there is a little bit of unrest for sure, but eventually a way forward comes out. Humanity survives, and humanity always comes back and finds a path for itself. And we will so do here as well. Everything might not be very clear as to what it will be today, but it doesn't mean that we're doomed to move ahead. So I think that's one point. Whenever AI is spoken, it's spoken. But what does AI bring on table? And how does it increase the gig economy is my thought at this point of time. With the advent of AI, it's very clear that we will not need to do every task which we are currently performing at this point of time. If you look at all our day-to-day activities, and I'm going as micro to, let's say, how homework at house, how we are sort of managing a house, or when we sit in corporate boardrooms, every task is something that an AI will sort of touch and bring impact on, which would mean that various tasks which are probably generalized functions will sort of not be, or repetitive in nature, which will sort of continue to get enabled, automated, and that's obvious, and that's happening while I speak to you, which would mean that the specialization and niche skills, super niche skills, is what will end up becoming a very, very important area. And when I say niche, does not mean unique always, but activity of being able to make sure that the automated process works more brilliantly well is where the tasks are, which is what I call, or the industry calls, micro tasks. So there would be advent of micro tasks, which is already happening actually, which is already enabling specialized people to be able to come back and make sure that they can contribute to that economy. About 6 months back, I was working on a project where we needed, and this was a platform, a music platform, which was wanting to come back and create autonomous music, which is custom built for you and me, and create basically a copyright for themselves for being able to create music. So things that you want to hear and you want to build using the similar genre that you want is what it should build on its own. And obviously, it was a platform which AI wants to sort of, they build it on the platform which is AI, and AI sort of builds their music platform. We needed almost about 500 to 600 people who would have to come back and listen to various kinds of music, understand the genres, and be able to come back and tag them as what genres it is, and also give them a versioning of how the music is and what kind of music it is, and basically give their inputs, which would mean that at the end of the day, once the data becomes a strong part of the platform, it would create a method where you and I can listen to music, understand what music we like, build our music around it ourselves, and then come back and probably gift it to a friend of ours that this is music I built for you. And that an average individual can do. This is one of the finest, of course, there are many outcomes, but I could see that this one touches every individual on the ground, because music is something that is common for all.
So Pramod, you are rightly said, and you have given me few initial examples which answers my first query from you, that gig is real. It is not an illusion. It is going to happen. Rather, with time, it is going to shape up more beautifully. And you rightly said that now we are more digitally aware. And in the morning, I was giving everyone here a data that India is the highest per capita consumer of the data. That is 35 GB per month. It is the highest in the world. So that shows that, digitization is, part of AI, and that's how we are familiar with that. I'll come back to you, Mr. Pramod, more on this. But we have the one of the largest employer of gig workers with us today, Mr. Jahangir from ZEPTO. So I think you are supplying, he is getting manpower from you. So they are the users. So I think now we can collaborate and understand things much better.
Sure.
So Mr. Jahangir, I would like to hear few thoughts from you. What is the position in the market? Are you able to get the required number of gig workers? Are people aware what kind of gig workforce is there? Are they ready to accept the new norms?
Yes.
What's happening in the market, in the field? Please.
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity. And we are one of the biggest employers in terms of hiring gig people. And answering to your first question, that are we getting sufficient number of people? The answer is no.
So, Mr. Pramod, there is a client for you.
And the simplest reason for that is, I think, the awareness part, the understanding of gig is something which is still missing in a lot of, there is still a misconception in a lot of people's mind that gig is all about delivering a particular product, or it's being a part-time kind of a role. That's not the reality. That's not the gig which is all about, right? We are close to almost 70,000 plus people which are currently working with us as a gig model, right? And they are basically last mile partners.
70,000.
70,000.
It's a big number, because in India at the moment we have 77 lakh gig workers. And
Yes.
out of that, 70,000 are working with you. That's a big number.
Correct. And our ask is more, in fact. We want to touch maybe close to 1.5 lakh kind of a number, right? But since, as I said, that the supply is not there, reason people are not aware about what exactly the gig model is all about. And as the literacy part, when I say the understanding of gig model plus the benefits of gig model, that is something which is currently missing this point of time. And if you look at the last 2-3 years, in fact, and the way government has came into this entire, recently we have this new labor code.
Yes.
And if I gave reference to that particular new labor wage bill, there is a specific mentioning of gig model, specific mention of gig workers, and government is very much careful about that. We need to cover up this entire workforce
Exactly,
into
added in our promos also.
Exactly.
Where our Honorable Prime Minister was telling
Yes.
in the Parliament that
Correct.
gig workforce is the reality.
Is
We
the
have to
reality,
create
and
more.
yes, and we need to look into them, especially when it comes to their social security, when it comes to their taking care of their insurance and taking care of the other benefits, which unfortunately is not there at this point of time. So first is the availability, second is understanding of the gig model, and third is, if we are going to give them a platform, or if we are going to give them an environment wherein people will be more than happy to take up these roles which are more of gig in nature, I think the problem would be solved. And as a theme said, the combination of AI plus gig is an ultimate combination. It's a killer combination, let me tell you.
And that Mr. Pramod also seconded that he was saying that AI and gig go side by side.
Yes. AI is definitely going to help us a lot. Companies like us, companies like my co-panelists which are sitting here, this is something which is going to be a game changer. especially for a country like us, where we have almost this point of time, it's around 12 million kind of a number, which 12 million kind of a gig workers which are currently operating. That's a number which I got from the Niti Aayog website,
Yes,
right? And the kind of contribution, and this number will go from a 12 million to almost 27 lakh kind of a number in next 3 years down the line, 3 to 4 years down the line. So huge scope.
2030 exact number is 2.35
2.35 crore,
gig
exactly,
workers.
exactly.
That's
So next 4 years, it's going to be huge options, huge opportunities for people who wanted to get into this gig model, because gone are the days when people used to question you that, okay, you can't do a moonlighting or you can't do work in 2-3 organizations at one point of time.
Yes.
No, it was a taboo in IT industries. But if you look at the current scenario, if you look at the current set of things, people prefer getting into gig kind of a work model. You know, that I am fine in terms of, let me decide my working hours. I want to work for 3 hours in this organization.
Yes.
My next 3 hours in this organization, and evening time is my time, family time. I let me spend my time with my family and all that. So this is a beautiful model which gives a human being an option to decide his working hours. Like, I don't want to work on a Sunday. I don't want to work on a national holiday. It's my choice. So there is no harm. I am a big fan of gig. And if you ask me any point of time, I would love to have team members in my own, HR team who are actually working be under gig model for 3-4 years, maybe as a consultant or as on a project basis. And because the kind of insights they give, the kind of experience they give, especially working from different organizations, different industries, the perspective is completely different. So it's a value addition for me as a leader, that, okay, I have set of people who are coming from different diverse backgrounds, and they're ready to take up this project. Not any, okay, people might ask that ownership might not be there, right? That ownership towards the organization might not be there. But end of the day, how does it matter?
Yes.
If the work is getting done,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
That's it. Simple, as simple as that. So that's my say on gig.
That's great, Mr. Jahangir. I think you have given a choice to our young generation also, that this is tomorrow.
Yes.
This is not today.
Yes.
But tomorrow, this is the reality, that you will have multiple people for whom you are working without any employer.
Exactly.
And that's the new model of employment which we are going to see in next few years.
Correct.
So I know that once we hire people, then people like Mr. Swapnil, who is the leader in this industry since long, I think ZEPTO has hired people. Gig for you have supplied the manpower. How to manage that manpower comes to Mr. Swapnil. Okay, so that's how our panel is formulated.
Yeah.
So now, Mr. Swapnil, I would like to ask from you, when you give solutions to increase the employee productivity to the companies, are you thinking of these new models, that when people are working in the gig format, so are you developing new models for them, or you are fitting into your present models, or you don't see any kind of need at this juncture? Please, sir.
So, as far as our clientele is concerned, we are more in terms of what industry is looking for. So we customize our offering as per the industry requirement. So we have clients where the employees are working from home. We have clients where the employees are working from office. We have clients who have a lot of gig workers working for them, and they want to know. So this is what we call as, hourly billing kind of work. Yeah. So let's say, for instance, if I want to, give somebody hourly billing work, and I want to know that for that hour which that employee is actually working or not. So that there our software comes into picture. So what happens is, and one more perspective I would like to bring. So how I look at, how the gig economy is going to behave in a longer run. One very interesting aspect I would say is, we human like things which are a bit imperfect. Let me explain you what I'm trying to say. Just few days back, I tried to make a, clone of myself, and I circulated among my friends, and showing them, see, I have created a clone, and it is talking like me, it is looking like me, and I would have got n number of rewards. Yaar, itna perfect nahi, tumhare jaisa nahi dikh raha hai. So what I have learned from there is that sabse bada jo kaam aane wala hai, when people say, because now it's almost 8-9 years since I am in AI, so I was fortunate enough, I was very early entrant into this particular industry. So one very big work which is going to come to gig workers is to create these imperfections which AI is going to make.
Okay.
This is big, I am telling you. That, for example, मेरे को एक चीज बताइए, I'm sure a lot of ladies out there are there. You go to a sari shop, which is more costly, hand woven or built by a machine. Hand woven, right? This is what is going to happen in future. AI will make production so easy, so much, so huge. Then we'll start searching for those imperfections.
Yes.
And that is what is going to increase a huge amount of gig work. So it could be video bana diya AI ne, very nice video. Now there'll be a gig worker who will create some imperfection to make it look more real. So this is going to that AI is going to huge. And one last thing I add here, that another thing, another aspect jo bolte hain na ki AI will take away the job. I have other way of looking at. One, I said that perfection. Second is hyper personalization. We are almost 800 billion people in this earth. Imagine everybody has their own needs, own requirements. So these hyper personalizations demand, once it becomes little viable in terms of cost, this is going to increase huge demand for gig workers as well as employment. So we are seeing ourselves that AI is not going to as sir, I was listening to him, he said that in the beginning it is going to change the nature of work.
Yes.
Right.
But it is going to increase the employment many folds, because people will look for these imperfections, people will look for these hyper personalizations.
Yes. You're right. Mr. Pramod, you were not there in the morning. We were discussing this, that, the largest invention in mankind history was, the advent of electricity. Fine. But after that, now we see that AI is the next, big thing which is happening, and which will, leap bound the GDP growth in the country. So now we have heard the company who is supplying gig workers. We have heard the company who is hiring the gig workers, and we have heard the company who is managing the employees when they are hired by a company. Now I come to the greater part of it. Those who are preparing those gig workers or the skilled manpower. I have with me Mr. Rohit, and he is the leader in which he prepares the manpower in such a way that they are fit to the new skills which are required in the market. Because we are a B school, Rohit sir, and we also deal with preparing the manpower for the industry. And this conference is meant for this actually, how we change, design, redesign our curriculums and pedagogy so that we are ready to give the trained manpower to the industry, to Mr. Pramod, to Mr. Jahangir, and to Mr. Swapnil. But what we should do as an academic institution and what industry should do as an enterprise to hire people who are not that trained to the new skills. And you are working on both fronts. You are working on preparing people. You are working on preparing enterprises. What's your take on that, Rohit sir?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Am I audible? All right. So मैं इस क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा सा just taking 2 steps back, और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप लोग रिलेट कर पाए इन चीज़ों से. सो बहुत ही फाउंडेशनल लेवल पे हम लोगों को ये समझना चाहिए कि व्हाट इज बिजनेस, है ना. सो लेट्स से देयर आर students graduating out of this, and then researchers, etc. All of them want some form of employment, or probably have desires to become an entrepreneur. In दोनों cases में the definition of business doesn't change.
Yes.
Okay. The business is the revenue, cost, and the profit.
Correct.
Okay. इस frame of reference को अपने दिमाग में आप अगर रखते हैं, and then you look at the world around you, you would be able to answer a lot of questions. Because the career or the entrepreneurship is only successful when the skills that you're going to bring on the table, there is someone in the society who is ready to pay for it.
Okay.
अगर वो pay नहीं करता, then that entrepreneurship and the job that skills that you're acquiring will make no sense.
Right.
Okay. So I think what we need to do, even before AI, before gig, we need to understand the fundamentals of business. And in this context, what kind of companies are originating which are, you know, going to be the employers of tomorrow? Let's say ZEPTO is one such, right? ZEPTO की एक profile है, उसमें if you go into, they have very specific needs. I mean, I understand probably 10% of it. But if I go dig deep into how ZEPTO model is working, probably I'll get to understand what kind of employment do they prefer. Okay. In this context, it is not about what humans want to do. It's about what the business wants the humans to perform in terms of skill sets or you know, the type of employment, which is full-time or gig worker. Having said that, going forward, and let's say 2 years, 3 years down the line, and the whole thing has started already. And since you talked about pedagogy and curriculum, etc., my sense is the AI is going to make engineering, you know, lot less memory rote based curriculum, because that curriculum was good for a industrial setup, where the assembly line approach was there. Nail yahi pe lagna hai na, door yahi lagna hai. So that whole industrialization process really defined how the curriculum was built. But आज की डेट में there is no gatekeeper for knowledge, right?
Right.
I mean, AI can tell you just in knowledge जो एक नया concept आ रहा है, जैसे पहले होता था just in supply. So now you have just in knowledge. Now in the just in knowledge scenario, whatever you want to learn would be applicable within a very short period of time. So suppose I'm let's say I'm someone who is designing software or something around, you know, a domain. Now, if I were to start working on that, what I want to consume is last probably 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 month of knowledge. You know, like Earth, which rotates and revolves, this whole knowledge is now rotating and revolving at that speed. So my sense is that in 2 to 3 years, the course like MBA would also be 50% engineering.
Oh, that's great. And that's something new we are hearing first time. That's great.
Yeah. Because if you want to, so I said there are some fundamentals of how you look at business. Okay, keep that in mind. Then you come to the fundamental of why a company would hire you, because they are the employer, so they will have some say in the kind and, you know, all of that. And then you need to figure out what skill sets you need. Okay, tomorrow's skill sets is more about one, I said, the engineering and MBA combined. Okay, not in real sense. Of course, it will have its boundaries. Plus domain knowledge. Now, students have to have greater domain knowledge. Getting a point. So, say for instance, I am interested in, and you'll have to decide that early on. Just pehle I used to, you know, think about some of our surnames, talk about what my generations have done, right? वो शायद will come back, because that domain knowledge is very important now. Suppose I want to get into airline industry or healthcare industry or let's say retail industry. It is not going to be sufficient to have surface knowledge. It is very important that you are deep inside, you understand the vertical of domain, and then you build the engineering and the MBA capability to be able to manage a business problem.
No, that's right, Mr. Rohit. I got your point, and I think what the point you have raised and the indication which you have given is a challenge to all our academic institutions.
Yes.
Because the one takeaway from your this initial thought is just in knowledge. Now, this is something unique. We heard something about just in time, but now it's so fast changing that now we have to think about just in knowledge.
yes.
That's the point which you have given is worth noting. But before I go to the second segment of our discussion, I want a yes or no answer from you, just a small yes or no answer from you individually, and then we will proceed further. So till now, whatever we have discussed, my straight question is gig worker with AI is a reality? Yes or no? Mr. Pramod.
100% yes.
Mr. Jahangir.
200% yes.
Oh. Mr.
Yes.
Swapnil.
Yes.
Mr. Rohit.
For me, I mean, they're unrelated.
Ha.
Unrelated.
So still that's no or yes?
Yes, but unrelated.
That's important. So this conference has made one policy decision for sure, which we can recommend now, that gig workforce and AI should be the path in future. So one policy takeaway from this conference is coming out clearly. Do you all agree to that?
Yes.
Okay. So now let me enter into the second part of this, which will be more, technical now. Pramod sir, I want your suggestions on this. How to educate this new nature of employment to our young generation and to our enterprise, so that the adaptability of this new format of employment is accepted by the enterprise, they use it, and the people who want to work, they also accept this reality and develop themselves accordingly. What's your take on that, sir?
So I think, of course, at least in India, I can safely say that one major roadblock for being able to accept was the governance mechanism, which I think the government has done a fantastic job. I'm not saying that the law is perfect. There's always scope for improvement. But once you have a governance layer, the acceptability in industry as well as individual comes in way. Of course, every law and act has its own lacunas and over a period of time improves. And there are amendments to the same. But I think that one good work which has happened is to come back and realize and accept it, because there was always a confusion about whether gig is legal, whether it is possible, can I become a gig worker, what is a platform worker, how do I get my, what is my ability to get some health benefits, etc. I think those are at least getting answered, if not completely, but at least, getting more ratified. So I think acceptability comes when you have acceptance or an ecosystem accepting it. So I would say that the ecosystem acceptance is now sort of coming in. Post November, we are flooded with various different industries which never used gig workers coming and talking to us as to how we can adapt to the same. We all have heard of.
Of course, Mr. Pramod, that was the point where I was looking for, because if this is coming from you, this is real. Because if enterprises have started asking you about gig workers, supplying them, I think that enterprise acceptability is much faster than the people who wish to work. Am I right, sir?
It's always like that. I think enterprises always have a problem statement which is there, but there are stumbling blocks and roadblocks. And I think enterprises have really started accepting it. Of course, there are gaps of how to overcome it and obstacles, but which are gradually, getting down. In my mind, the Gen Z does not have so much of an acceptance problem, because I think they are still able to come back and be able to understand and adapt faster than the other. In my mind, the problem is the current middle-aged group, which will have time to accept that gig is the nature and very, very important. So the new pool of workforce that is coming in, far more is going to be easier for them to accept. Gigs are something that they understand, they're happy, they're very open. In fact, they want a lot of freedom and flexibility. The middle-aged group, and I would say, I have a dividend. We have a demographic dividend when it comes to workforce, but we have also a complexity of aging population with healthcare better, their retirement is not going to be as early as possible.
I'll stop you here, Mr. Pramod, and I will add one interesting part. Our guest of honor, Professor Bijoy Kumar, in the morning inaugural session was telling us, everyone, all of this, that now we have 3 innings.
Yeah.
Yes.
First inning is 1 to 25, second inning is 25 to 60, and another inning is 60 to 95. And we all should be
Absolutely.
prepared for that. And I hope you are also saying the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the pool of people that I feel will have acceptance issues and adaptability and convincing is the one which is between the second and the third pool that you said.
Yes.
And that is the bigger challenge that we as a country have, of course, because with an aging population and the large population, we have the largest young population, but we also have the largest aging population also. So it comes with dynamics. So I think that's one challenge, which is what the country as a whole have to do. And I think those are, but that's where the rich experience is also. And that is the experience which can come to the advantage of gig as well. And that's going to be, of course, a challenge that we overcome as a country together. But definitely the young workforce loves to adapt gigs is what I've seen. We have almost 85,000 people registered. Out of that, about 40,000 of people who are in the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year, or maybe doing masters. That's a very large pool. And these are people from all kinds of colleges that we have on our platform. So I think that portion is answered for sure.
Yeah, I understand. Mr. Swapnil, what Mr. Pramod was saying just now, so he took a version that enterprise is now willing, and I'm not coining this question to Mr. Jahangir because he has already said that they want more.
Yeah.
What's your personal observation? Is enterprise open for gig employment mindset, or still they want a long-term employee-employer relationship? Because you are meeting a lot of enterprises and supplying the software solutions to them.
So here there are two perspectives. One, startups or a smaller enterprises, we can call SMEs, and one, the larger players. So what we have seen is that, the smaller enterprises or startups, for them, it is a win-win proposition actually, having a gig worker. So let's say, for instance, I am starting a startup and I have a very limited budgets, right? I cannot afford somebody with, let's say, 10 years of experience to do a particular task because I have to pay the entire month's salary. So what I am observing, and this is a very natural trend, that startups are very smartly utilizing the gig workers. Yes. And it is a win-win proposition for both the parties. SMEs, again, the same thing. There is a cost arbitrage there also. That, how much of, money we want to put in fixed kind of salaries and how much we can put it in the enterprise. When we get into the larger enterprises, until unless the business model is something like, ZEPTO or something where it is inadvertent to have.
That's what Mr. Rohit was saying.
Yes.
That, ultimately it's the requirement of the business which will define.
So larger enterprises I'm yet to see, because we have, I think the biggest client we have given close to 20,000 licenses to them. So they are full-time employees and they do not have. So this is the bifurcation I am seeing.
Okay, so what Mr. Rohit, what Swapnil sir is saying that acceptability of gig workers is also depending on the scale of enterprise. Rather, startups are using it more, SMEs are using it more, but large-scale enterprises are still hesitant to do so. Do you see that they will also eventually agree to this, or they will find us something new?
I think so. Isme, what is going to happen is that, see, with the AI coming in, the margins will be under pressure, especially for a country like India. So, which is more services model, lot of things that usually we employ people for. Since we want to kind of, so those kind of business models, AI will have lot more impact. Having said that, the employers will look for, to save their margin, they will look for ecosystem jahan pe, gig workers are there.
Okay.
Okay, so even going forward, larger enterprises will become frugal enterprises.
Okay, what's that?
Meaning that they will have shorter business models.
Okay.
Let's say I build a service or a software. Today with AI, the barrier to entry has dramatically decreased.
Okay.
Okay. So unless, so let's just give me 1 minute on this. So look at this from this frame. The software as a service, which was our pride for last 20-25 years, is under threat. Okay. What as a entrepreneur or a student, we should be looking at how do we build the distribution business. Okay. What is ZEPTO today is a valuable company because it has built the distribution business. It reaches the end buyer. Okay. So if a large percentage of our employers are in the first segment, they will build businesses which have a shorter life cycle. Okay. Even the startups or SMEs, they have shorter life cycles, and therefore margins are always under pressure, and which will lead to the gig economy, promoting gig economy, employing more from this sector. AI will become an infrastructure, like you mentioned in the morning, that AI will become infrastructure, just like electricity, it will become an infrastructure. I don't think after a few years we'll be saying, "Aap AI use kar rahe ho ya nahi?" It's a part of this life. We don't say auditorium mein light hai ya nahi. We say that it's given.
It's there.
So AI is given. The model will depend on the kind of businesses which will grow in the future. And my sense is that even large enterprises will have shorter business cycles, and therefore gig economy will prosper more.
Okay.
This will also be added from the point of view that now Gen Z has more mental frame to explore more. Creativity ज़्यादा होगी, है ना? AI will take up rest of the things, creativity, empathy, all those soft skill based businesses. And of course, there are other areas. But I think with this,
So I got your idea, what you are saying, Mr. Rohit, but before proceeding further, a small, quick, very small answer from Mr. Swapnil. Because Rohit sir has coined one important aspect, which is SaaS, software as a service. There's a lot of debate on SaaS going on. I don't want a detailed answer, but a small answer. Is SaaS in trouble, or it will adapt AI and move forward?
SaaS is in big trouble.
SaaS. Okay, so I'll not go into detail in more because that's not the idea today. Yeah. And Pramod sir is laughing there because he know that the how hiring is going to be that in that particular sector. Coming back to our topic, Mr. Jahangir, what problems you are facing when you induct the gig workers? When I say problem, I'm talking about the training issues. I'm talking about the cultural belongingness to the organization issues, which you indirectly coined that ownership is an issue there.
Yeah.
And what type of steps you are taking to overcome these problems so that we can all understand what's the gap which has to be filled in by the academia there.
Correct. So I think it's a beautiful question you've asked, sir. In fact, as I said, that we hire a good number of people month on month, right? The biggest challenge is what we face is in terms of the culture fitment, right? So when I say culture, people have a different definition of culture. But for us, someone who is ready to take up the role, what we are looking forward for, someone who is available as per my requirement. For example, I'll just give you example. So we have different time slots for a delivery boy. So since customer is available 24/7, so we need people who are available 24/7. So if I expect a delivery boy to be available from 12 in the night till 6 in the morning, right? I will find very less number of takers for this particular kind of a slot, and that's a trouble. That's the biggest challenge what we face. That getting people to work in odd number of timings. In fact, from 12 to 6, or let's say in peak summer season from afternoon 2 to 4 kind of a time slot, especially in north and where we have a huge temperature weather issues and all that.
And see, we have never thought of this issue.
Yeah.
See,
So
we have thought that gig workers are there and they're working, but this is the peculiar
It's-
problem which you are telling.
it's a
We have
challenge,
not
yeah.
thought of whether.
it's a challenge, and once first, and I think the second thing which adds up to our problem is the digital literacy part. You know what all of us are saying. You know, currently facing. In fact, people know how to operate WhatsApp. People know how to operate this. You know, Instagram and all, Facebook and all that. But when it comes to operating an app, you know, the app which we have built in house, you know, for our people, delivery riders and all that, there is always a challenge, right? And this challenge starts from the day one when we want to onboard them, because they have to onboard their Aadhaar card or
And
let's
that
say a
is
PAN card.
after 35 per capita GB
Yes,
consumption. I
exactly.
think that's majorly going in reels.
In reels. Okay, thanks for highlighting that, because that 35 GB of data is actually almost 80% of that data is being consumed on watching reels and all that.
So
right?
data consumption is important, but more important is how it is consumed.
How it is consumed, right? So,
So
that,
we will ask our students to improve
sure,
on that.
sure. So digital literacy is something what we expect a person to have, you know, whenever you want to get into a gig kind of a model, that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what the company expect me to be available in those, you know, working hours. And third is accepting the role, right? That, okay, I know that belongingness will never be there, because it's at the end of the day, it's more of a 2-3 hours or 4 hours kind of a thing. But those 3 hours is that what you was talking about, that they help us in terms of giving us those insights that this guy is actually working or not working. Yeah, that's a bigger challenge for us.
That's not surveillance, that is actual requirement.
Actual requirement, right?
What Swapnil's product is there,
Yes.
it's the you know
It's
requirement.
it's a requirement. It's a need of the hour for companies like us, because for us, 3 hours that person is logged into our app, but is he delivering at right time the kind of promise we are making to our customer? That's a challenge for us. Though we have different mechanisms to track GPS and all that, but still, people know the way. You know, how can you fool the system, right? There are ways to do that.
So I'll
that
add
is
on
the
something
struggle.
here, Mr. Jahangir, and Mr. Pramod will help me out in this. Is this drone
Yeah, drone delivery.
drone delivery and drone technology is going to be a threat to the gig model of delivery business?
Sure. I think this is a model that I think Amazon led almost 10, 12 years back.
Yeah.
And extensively spoken about. It's got its challenges. But like we've got the labor wage code, which has given us clarity on gig, we're waiting for the airway, you know, the aerospace laws also. There are challenges with respect to that we need to look at it. In India specifically, if you ask me, we have challenges with wires, which is a big problem because you can't take it.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you ask me, the last mile portion may not be in trouble as of today, but at least the middle layer in between, which of course, you know, Jahangir sir is here, he will talk about it. That challenge is already getting solved to many extent. In fact, last week I met a drone tech company ourselves, because we do last mile deliveries ourselves as well. And we met them and we looked at their technology. We looked at, so it's not, we are not, even aggregators have started looking at it, because there are problems that we have, which is not easily solvable at this point of time. Last mile surely may take a lot more time, but the rural is healthcare and agri already have drones supplying near the last mile. So there is to some extent, yes, there's a possibility. And when I look at, since we're speaking about technology and last mile, we must talk about not just drone, but look at robots also coming onto the street.
So hold on, Mr. Pramod, because that's my last segment on which I'm going to enter now, because you have already touched that. Now, see, we are entering into now cognitive AI.
Cognitive AI, yes.
That's going to happen, and that's the reality.
Yeah.
Nobody can stop that, because in the first phase of our panel discussion, I have taken yes of every one of you that AI is there and it's going to remain. So next 1 decade or so, we assume that we will be adapting the cognitive AI.
Yes.
Now, if cognitive AI is a reality, don't you see that it's a major threat? First, you go, Pramod sir, then I'll come on everyone, because you know you are supplying the workforce.
Yeah. So, you know, people say that cognitive AI is a little away, 2 years, 3 years, but there are recent trends of discussions that we talk about cognitive AI already inside the systems of various tools. And of course, cognitive AI is much more scary when we look at it from outside.
Yes, yes.
But I think the true extent, so we've used this word, I don't think we've ever as a globe used the word hallucination so much that we've used in the last 2 years. So the AI hallucination word has been something, and we've sort of, some people would have forgotten the dictionary about it, but now we know hallucination. With cognitive intelligence, the word hallucination will go out of the window, is where I see it. And that's the true sense. So today, when we all use AI, we talk about hallucination and etc. When you look at cognitive AI, the ability to get context by AI itself will become extremely strong. And I think that's surely something that's going to be embedded. Is it scary? To all of us, it might look, but I think it's as scary as AI is. But every technology only improves over a period of time the lifestyle for an individual. I think that it will play out for sure, and some context will come for sure. So that's my take on the same.
Swapnil, Mr. Swapnil, you are the right person to speak more about on this, on cognitive AI. Kya hoga? What's going to happen? If it is scary, tell us.
There are two aspects of it. First of all, there is so much of hue and cry, and I think it is real. Is the power consumptions behind the running AI, any mod, whether it is artificial intelligence in normal soft side of things or cognitive.
Okay.
The biggest problem which I foresee is right now an individual. We are almost 800 billion, and the kind of power consumption which we are doing on a day-to-day basis, and there are government is talking too much on Vizag data centers, and
very
now there is
interesting point you have raised, Mr. Swapnil. I started today with electricity just because of this reason, because somehow this will come into picture that electricity and water
is going
how
to
we are going to manage if we wish to go to the cognitive AI.
And another, so I have I got very excited with there is a robot available in Amazon. So I was a bit frustrated at my place with all the maid thing and all, and my wife nagging every time. So I brought that robot to test how it is working. And just I assume that at this point of time, I used that for a month and I checked my electricity bill. Okay.
What is the result? That's more interesting.
So that's why I'm explaining so much. Okay. Now we are talking about electric cars. We are already, forget about the gadgets which we use. So the biggest challenge, and I would like to quote one thing here, and this is how I look at cognitive AI. If any of you have seen Iron Man, the movie, the first part where he's building that entire thing, Jarvis and all, and he's in a cave. 10% or 15% of his intelligence he used in building that mechanics of it, cognitive part. And rest, 90% of the intelligence he used in building that power shell.
Yes.
Which will run that whole thing.
That's right.
So, to answer to the question, China has they are, dancing and all the moves you can think of. So, that way they are kind of it. But the real challenge is going to be the energy. That is how I look at cognitive.
That's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge. I think we are entering into the last segment of our panel discussion, but there are 2 or 3 important points. Mr. Rohit, I would like to start from you. We are an academic institution. IPER has identified the need of AI, and this year onwards, we have included AI into our course outline and course teachings. We have adapted a system. You all will be appreciating this, that earlier we used to prepare the activities which stops the person to use AI, and we would like to check whether he or she is copying from AI or not. Now we have done a flipped of it. Now we have identified the activities in which he or she has to build something on AI and tell us, so that they are aware of it. What advice you would like to give to the academic institutions further to cope up with the coming challenges in gig economy powered by AI? Your take, sir.
So I think there's never a single thing or single answer for such a weighted question.
But I'm happy that you have given weight to this question. That means that our thinking process is right.
It's right.
Yeah.
So at a macro level, the improvement that we want to bring to pedagogy and the way we and the curriculum etc. पहले internship पे हमारा 20% focus था,
Yes.
है ना, 80% was on the
Classroom teaching.
classroom teaching. I think that needs to reverse over a period of time.
Flip.
Yeah. Okay, and the reason for
I
flip
think
is
this answer requires an applause. I think that's the way education should form in the future. Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
right. So it needs to flip for, and it needs to be done over a
Staggered way.
in a staggered way so that it doesn't change suddenly. And with that, you need to have domain, experts built.
Which you are emphasizing since beginning today.
Since beginning,
Yes.
yeah. So, for instance, if I am learning, let's say finance or human resources, so I'll have a very top layer general understanding of the subject. Then I'll go into a domain. Okay, and I could go into maybe 2 domains or 3 domains, depending on how the student feels about it and where he sees his future. So that's what I would recommend.
I got your point.
You'd flip this
Yes.
and then
Yes.
move into domain specific and give student 2 to 3 options to do that.
So, Mr. Pramod, before I ask you the answer for this same question, just to satisfy or quench my thirst for this particular question, I'm not asking you the actual figure. I'm just asking you the percentage so that I can get a fair idea what is happening in the industry. Out of your total revenue, what revenue you are locking, what percentage of revenue you are locking through gig workforce, making gig workforce employable? That gives a fair idea to us what's happening, because you are the largest workforce solution company. Yeah.
I think I would like to flip this question to what kind of growth I am seeing in my business verticals.
That will work for us.
Yeah. So we've seen over a 200% growth in my gig revenue business this year, versus all my other businesses growing at 25 to 35% on an average. So I think that is a good perspective, because gig growth is where the next boom is happening.
So my question makes sense to you now, that what suggestions you would like to give to our academic institutions to prepare our future managers now?
Yeah, I mean, this suggestion of mine for me, with limited exposure to academic, of course, we run a skilling company, but I personally have always believed in practical learning. And today it becomes even more important, because theory continues to be very easily available. Just knowledge is always available. I think adapting that knowledge and ensuring that you can put it to use is something that we need to. Our curriculum has improved over a period of time, but I think we still have miles to go. I would see that we should have a more dynamic nature of being able to improve the curriculum. Today, I see the curriculum getting redone once in 3 years, 4 years. But I think the speed at which we need to build on our curriculum and adapt is more micro, 3 months to 6 months, because
Mr. Rohit was saying just in knowledge.
Just
so
in
that
knowledge.
That fast.
So today, when you join a curriculum of 4 years, I think the number of and just to pick up the AI, the model changes every 4 months, changing almost a couple of years of learning curve. What we do, we take time. But a simple 3.6 to 3.8 changes a lot of dynamics to actual usage on the ground for a individual. So if we do not adapt to that, and if our academic infrastructure does not allow us to, as individuals, we will have to adapt. I think that's my 2 cents to the academic institution, to try and build the practicality and the adaptability, and most important, to individuals that go beyond the academia layout, because there may be problems to change the layout instantly, but you can surely take leap ahead. Knowledge is available today in abundance available. And I think you need to just learn how to put it to use. So that's my 2 cents there.
Great thoughts, a great thought. Mr. Jahangir, what's your take on that? Because your domain is HR.
Yes,
so I want a very, very specific answer.
I was eagerly
from you,
waiting for my turn, actually, in fact, to
Yes.
answer this question, because I think I'll go back to the basics first, right? I think that this information, this knowledge about AI and all that has to start from your school days itself. Let's not wait for somebody getting into a graduation or a post-graduation, I think the basic fundamentals has to start from schooling, right? That's the first thing, that let's have a curriculum. What Pramod was also talking about, that if we are going to follow the same rule of revising the curriculum once in 4 years, 5 years, it's not going to help, especially this generation. So it has to be something which is more dynamic as per the need. If there is a need to change the curriculum, let's do it. As simple as that. So starting from school education, then you are into graduation, or then you are into post graduation, masters, and all that. There has to be continuous learning about, continuous talking about this particular concept of AI, art, and everything, in fact, which is related to technology and all that. Right? That's my first say. Second is, I think, as a country, or my suggestion to the academic especially, that let's create a kind of a infrastructure wherein students are happy to take up these roles, these subjects, right? Because if you show them that, okay, if you take this particular course or your specialization into AI and all that, and there are opportunities available for you after you complete this particular course or a diploma or anything,
Right.
they'll be more keen to take up these roles, right? The bigger challenge which we see this point of time is that there are number of courses available, but there are very few students who are interested to take up those courses. I'll give you a very simple example of 3-4 years down the line, something like a course of a food processing, right? Some course which was not very well, not much of students were very much interested to take up those courses, something like a food processing kind of a thing. But you look at the current need, there are a good number of companies who are actually hiring people who are food scientists, who have done their diploma or graduation in food processing and all that. So the whole point is that build that infrastructure, that governance, wherein students are ready to take up these courses, these roles, in fact, and there are opportunities available, right? That's what my say is, that empower students. The knowledge has to come from their school days itself to then to their graduation, then to masters, and provide them opportunities that they'll be more happy or keen to take up these courses or these roles. In fact, that's my say as a HR.
That's a great answer, sir. Swapnil, sir.
So I think I have a very good analogy to that. That comes from our mythology Ramayana. That now I think the teachers have to get into the role of Shabri.
Okay, yeah, that's a good answer.
हल्का सा taste करना है, because there is a overload of information.
Correct.
A great thought.
Yeah.
Great thought.
And what teacher can do is, teacher can be a facilitator. So I know better than this new student who is coming to me. So first I will consume so much of information, so much of knowledge, and then guide them that, okay, pick up these 2-3 things which is going to help you. So the teacher's role has to move from being a professor to facilitator.
Right.
How this particular thing, I think during my interview also I told you that today as a role of chief revenue officer, every day I interview one AI product. So when my marketing team, my sales team, my customer success team comes to me, sir, yaar, ye wala workflow mein I am facing the problem, I immediately tell them, go and look at this product. So if teacher is consuming, and obviously you will remain more relevant, you will remain more informed. So I think that is what has to be done, कि हमको ज्यादा से ज्यादा कंज्यूम करना है और अपने स्टूडेंट को बताना है कि भाई ये 10 मैंने वीडियो देखे हैं या 10 टॉपिक का मैंने नॉलेज गेन किया है, ये 3 चीजें आप पिक करो, दिस इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू.
That's great. I think at the end of this panel discussion, we can come out with certain recommendations which you can make to the system. So the first thing which we have come out from this particular panel discussion, to sum up, is that gig workforce is the new nature of employment which has to be accepted, because 200% growth, if we can see in a company which is the biggest hiring company, so that proves itself. AI is the reality. We will be reaching to cognitive AI very soon. This is the first take of this panel discussion, which we will be recommending to the system. Second is, we have to flip the learning mechanism. Internship should be more and less of classroom teaching, but without disturbing the fundamentals of the syllabus, which should be there. Although one suggestion which was very great coming from Mr. Pramod, that this syllabus has to be more relevant. It should not be for years, or it should not be bound in certain time limits. It should be relevant. If it is relevant for 5 years, it's okay. If it is relevant for 6 months, change it. So that kind of flexibility, what he was suggesting, so that is one of the recommendations which we can give. And the great recommendation is that we should empower the student. Ultimately, it is the student who has to learn from the beginning. So that empowerment should be given to the student in this particular new set of economy. And most important, the responsibility is on our teachers, that now we should not become only the professors, we should act as a facilitators. And I will always remember this, that Shabri was a great example. And next time, whenever I'll go in the class, I'll taste the fruit and then I'll go in the class and tell to these students. That's a great thing which you have given.